what, dedicated to Hugh Hefner, Stop in the Name of Love?
Yeah.
7:37, like the plane, Bulldog and Kevin. The day after Election Day, we'll keep you posted on all the returns, and Gene Nichols is doing a great job for us. But let's go away from the election for a minute and bring on, it's one of our favorite guests. Kevin can listen to this man forever.
I really can.
Danforth Prince has joined us.
I'm happy to be here.
Yes, and Darwin Porter, Blood Moon's Babylon series has come out with Playboy's Hugh Hefner, Empire of Skin.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mr. Danforth Prince, it's a fascinating book. I just got it the other day, and I've been thumbing through it. It's a lot of fun. So what should people know about Hugh Hefner, and why should they read this book?
Well, it's very nice to talk to you, Bill. Hi,
yes.
Bill. Hi, Kevin. Very, very nice to be here. It's the ultimate post-election discussion topic because everybody has a point of view about Hugh Hefner and Playboy. It is completely non-controversial in every way. It is the ultimate bonding technique among guys who really love to talk about, and then take a deep breath, a role model in America who indeed influenced their lifestyle choices, their aesthetic sense, and certainly the sexual revolution as we knew it, about how America decided to spend its bedtime hours. A lot of it was reliant upon Hugh Hefner, and we put out the first post-mortem biography since his death a year ago.
Mm-hmm. But he was way ahead of his time, Hugh Hefner.
Well, it was so interesting to look at him psychologically. He really was a philosopher and a sociologist, and really looked at America as a fecund breeding ground of new ideas, new lifestyles, new marketing opportunities. And he took the difficult topic of sexuality and really turned it into a brand product that is probably one of the most famous things to come out of America in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. It was, everybody read it, everybody had an opinion, and we compiled all the anecdotes into one, I think, a 600-page book describing all aspects of the Hugh Hefner experience.
And
how fun!
Now, I have to say, a lot of big-name movie stars are in this book that they were pleasured at the Playboy Mansion.
Oh.
Yeah, they had a very
good time there.
They had a good time at the mansion.
Well, we have done what I call a non-sensationalist book about a sensationalist subject. We have not emphasized the prurient. We've really been rather straightforward newspaper journalistic style. There's plenty of scandal in the material in and of itself, so we cannot walk around saying, a new scandal expose of Hugh Hefner. That simply would not work. And I think that would offend, and then take a deep breath, the huge numbers of people who were peripheral to the circulation and to the expansion and to the acceptance of the Playboy look and world and aesthetic. There's a lot of people out there in your part of California who indeed worked in the skin trades and were models or were bunnies.
Yep.
I gave a release party for this book on Halloween here at Magnolia House in Staten Island in New York, our company headquarters. Mm-hmm. And part of the definition of who could come was if women came, they had to admit to having had a bunny past.
Oh.
And what I'm trying to say is that a lot of women suddenly rack their minds and they go, oh, yes, in college I was a bunny at the Chicago Playboy Club, blah, blah.
Yes.
And others of them had to delve deep into their collective subconsciouses to identify and redefine themselves as bunnies. The bigger point I'm trying to make is when Playboy started its first edition with Marilyn Monroe on the cover in 1953, to be a bunny was scandalous. A woman would be thrown out of her social circle. Her family would reject her. It was traumatic, and Marilyn survived it, of course, and went on to thrive. Kim Novak was said to have posed for some nude photographs around the same time, and I think it was Harry Cohen rushed off into the marketplace and bought all the negatives for $15,000 and berated Kim Novak for doing it. But the point I want to make is that later, as the society evolved, it was a status symbol to be a centerfold in Playboy.
Barbara Walters was a bunny, Barbara Walters was an undercover bunny.
Wow.
Yes.
I think it was Gloria Steinem. I think it was Gloria Steinem did. I knew about her. Barbara was too. Oh, my God.
Barbara was too, yes.
Interesting.
And do you know that I've been reading that in New York they opened up a Playboy Club recently?
Yes, and it's very interesting where it is, and it's very interesting the way it's been reconfigured with a more tasteful presentation of the Me Too generation. Great emphasis is being spent there not to manipulate the woman's aspect of the skin and flesh industry. It's my point is that once bunnies at a Playboy club were considered really, really shocking and avant-garde, and now it really is a rather charming, rather gentle symbol of an earlier vintage retro age.
Yeah. Where now, Danforth, where is it in New York?
It's on the extreme west side. It's I think it's west 42nd, 45th Street, something.
Okay. So it'll be interesting to see if it makes it. You know, I mean, of course, times have certainly changed, but Kevin and I are opening a club out here in Palm Springs, and the men are going to be turtles. They're going to have a hard shell. Yeah. And,
I was just going to say I should have been a bunny.
You would have been a
good bunny.
Well,
we all should have been bunnies. That's the new slogan. The new advice of Blood Moon Productions is, who do you want to be at Halloween? Be a bunny.
So now tell people, where could they get Playboy's Hugh Hefner Empire of Skin?
Well, I'm very fond of that great story he's got called Greetings out on North Palm Canyon. I think it's up by the Hyatt or something. He really carries the whole repertoire of Blood Moon Productions, at least the books that are still in print. We've sold out a lot of our first editions, so they're becoming collector's items. But his name is Doug Mitchell. The story is called Greetings. It really is a bastion of showbiz literacy in a world where people are reading less and less and less and less. So Greetings is a story. We also have good distribution through the National Book Network, and it's an ebook now, and it'll be hit all the Barnes and Noble stores, blah blah, Amazon in about 4 or 5 days.
And soon it'll be on the cover of the Enquirer, something, you know, right? There'll be something.
I'd like to just briefly address that. The Enquirer called me, and we discussed this book, and I sort of downplayed my involvement with them on this one.
Right.
Why did I do that? Me, a publicity hound who salivates over that kind of
okay, I'll
blatant
ask you,
publicity.
Why did you do that?
I think that where they were going, where this and another tablet was going, was to bring out salacious individual embarrassments of the type that all of us were probably involved with in our tawdry youths. And I did not want to piss off all of those nice former bunnies by emphasizing the purely salacious.
Right.
We did want a bigger view of this book as something of an insight into the American century and the sociological changes it endured. And I did not want – there's plenty of salacious stuff in it, but when you get into the orbit of writing about headlines having to do with individual acts done in the midst of a drug night at the Grotto or something, it just wasn't quite the scene in which I wish to present a book that we consider an insight into the American century. Blah.
Well, good for you, Danforth. Now, Danforth,
hey, I took the high road. Can you imagine that?
I know. Now, Blood Moons, you know, it's part of the Babylon series. It's Playboy's Hugh Hefner Empire of Skin. And Danforth, when you're not doing these books, don't you have a B&B out there on Staten Island?
Well, thank you. That's very kind. Yes. I operate out of a 19th century Victorian very large house. It's called Magnolia House, and it has links to the 19th century development of Staten Island as a borough of New York, blah, blah, rich in history, rich in associations with 19th century greats. And I am now inaugurating an afternoon series of teas. It's called Afternoon Tea and the Ironies of Fame, and it's being marketed through my agent, which is Airbnb. Yes, it is an Airbnb. It's very popular. I'm a superhost, blah, blah. But Airbnb wished to take advantage of my past as a Frommer writer for the Frommer travel guides and develop a new kind of travel experience to do on a snowy afternoon when a businessman from Los Angeles is bored and lonely and wants to come out to a Victorian house with a fire and talk about, take a deep breath, the ironies of fame, the ironies of our backlist, and the way we have handled the concept of the changing definition of fame in America. It's about a 2-hour experience. It's $30 a head. It's marketed through Airbnb. It's called Afternoon Tea and the Ironies of Fame at Magnolia House at Blood Moon Productions. And it's
that
great
sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Well, it's meant to be fun. I mean, I could do the scholastic shtick in Babylon, you know, monotonically throughout the whole thing. But what I find is that people will have a fascination for a particular subject of a biography we have recently published, and they really want to know, certainly the gossipy angle of Lana Turner, but more crucially, the sources by which we base these conclusions and our research methods, and the way we have, in a very unique way within American publishing, made it a focus of a retro vintage postmortem overviews with information never published before because of libel issues and changing journalistic tastes.
Well, Danforth,
We're a phenomenon in publishing, and we can give you after tea and tell you all about it.
That's great. Well, Danforth, Prince, you're one of the toughest interviews. You really are. I mean, It's
hard to interview you, Danforth.
I love that you ask your own questions. I think it's fabulous. You know?
I could listen to you forever.
I think it's the pomposity of being an editor, sitting in a room alone editing books all day. And you go out into the world and you say, hello, I've done the biography of Jesus Christ, and nobody has a clue even what to ask.
Now, you just mentioned, the Froma books. Do I have you to blame that I did Europe on Arthur Froma's $5 a day?
I'm afraid you do. Yes, okay, I was part of all that, telling you who to be and what to say.
I mean, you would check into like a dump, and you'd look out the window, and all of a sudden you'd open the book, and Arthur Froma's wife would say, "You could see the hills and hear the music." I'm like, are you kidding me? This place is a dump.
I'm blessed and cursed with 1,000 stories from the early days of the Frommer Guides and from the vintage age of Hollywood. I have inherited all these oral histories, and I am funneling all of them into book form at Magnolia House, at which I hope all of you Palm Springers will come and have afternoon tea some snowy afternoon this winter.
That would be great.
Is there a website for people to go on to check out your bed and breakfast?
It's bloodmoonproductions.com.
Oh, okay.
And it's magnoliahousestgeorge.com. And Airbnb is featuring both of them in heavy ways. They like this stuff.
I've been to that website, and I've seen your bed and breakfast there, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
Well, people are very kind to us. It really
nice.
Is. And people are wonderful. I have not had a single psychotic problem the whole time I've been running it, and I've had lots of business and people.
Good.
It's the only celebrity-centric Airbnb associated with a publishing venue in the entire world. And you get breakfast every morning, and you get to hear me narrose about my latest drama upstairs.
Oh, sweet.
I wasn't sure. I didn't know narrose was a verb. I just got that.
Billy, we're in media. We can do what we want.
I know. Danforth, Prince, thanks for joining us again. Playboys, HUGH Hefner, Empire of Skin. Out here, you can go right to Greetings. They carry all the books. And Danforth, we wish you, I don't know, what's the next book? Do you know who you're doing next?
Yes, well, thank you. We do, actually. We are writing the largest, most comprehensive biography of a great male movie star from the vintage years of Hollywood, Kirk Douglas.
Oh.
That'll be interesting.
You know he's still alive, Danforth.
Well, he's 102, and I have to be very respectful not to appear to be chasing an ambulance. I'm really not yet. If we don't do this book, I don't think anyone else will, with the degree of insight into contemporaneous sources that we really have access to through Darwin Porter, my co-author, who's been pursuing these things since the days when he was a celebrity columnist with the Miami Herald.
Right.
So we've got these files that go back to the 50s. We've got these interviews that have never been published in any other source, and we're putting out the world's most definitive guide to the movie star Kirk Douglas that we adore.
I can't wait, because his life is fascinating, Kirk Douglas.
Beyond imagination. And never quite got credit for the interest that he really was just pouring out of his pores.
And he broke the blacklist. I mean, with Dalton Trumbo and Spartacus, he did a lot, Kirk Douglas.
He did. How grateful the world is to the iconic majesty of Kirk Douglas. May he live forever.
Thank you, Danforth. Prince, we have to go, kid. Thanks.
Yes.
Kevin's going to dress as a bunny and come to your B&B, okay?
Yes, I am.
Kevin, I will treat you like the movie star you are. I will make a huge fuss, and I will handle any concierge-related problem that you have of any kind.
Oh, and he's got problems, Danforth. Thanks for calling in, Danforth.
Thank you, Danforth.
Prince, Blood Moon Productions. You're listening to Bulldog and Kevin, 94.3, 104.7 K-News.